So Winnie,
Okay.
where and when were you born?
Okay, I was born in a town called Kericho. It is currently in Rift Valley.
And how far is that from Nairobi?
I guess it is pretty very far, like two counties away.
Uh-huh. And
Yes.
do you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have a brother and I have a sister.
And where are you in the birth order?
I'm the firstborn.
That's really a pattern of achieving firstborn girls. So yeah, I'm not surprised. What? How much schooling did you get at home before you went to
Uh,
university?
to university. Okay, I at home I think I've been going around, so I did the until bachelor degree
Um, you did a bachelor's degree in what subject?
in wildlife management.
Okay, and
Yes,
what month and year were you born in?
that was on 20th of October 1989.
So that makes you just between a Libra, the scales, and a Scorpio. Do you think of yourself as a person who likes balance and who has deep feelings?
Yes, that one I can say for sure, especially when it comes to wildlife
Uh
and
huh.
environment. Yes.
And what other words would describe you to someone who doesn't know you?
Okay, I'm passionate and well detailed when it comes to something that I love. I do really fight for it, so I don't like having half-baked things. So I ensure if I start something, I take it until everything is complete.
Okay. So you're
Yes.
passionate, persistent, and what else?
Okay, I can say optimistic.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes.
What was it like when you were growing up? You said it was a farm area. It was a rural agricultural area.
Yes. So mainly it was like we are where we stay. By the way, I was born in Kericho, but we stayed in Nakuru. We moved shortly. So in Nakuru, where we live, where now my parents are right now, it is next to a conservation area known as Lake Nakuru National Park. So from there, in the evenings and in the morning when I'm going to school, I could be able to see wildlife.
Like
So I think that is what increased my love for wildlife.
specifically, which animals were common for you to see when you were walking around?
Okay, during the morning, the baboons were the most common. I think maybe because we used to share our breakfast with them. So, so they will come and help us wait for the school bus. And then now in the evenings, now it was the herbivores. That is the zebras, the buffaloes, now and the antelopes. That now that's when we could see them in the evening. Yes. But
When the
now, yes.
when the baboons came to say hello in the mornings, were they polite and wait for you to give them, or did they kind of grab food?
Okay, surprisingly, as according to the adults, they thought that they could be aggressive, but for us kids, they were not because we could give them food and they would politely take them and go back to the fence. But now the adults were very like keen, and they would even like warn us, like stop feeding the baboons, they are going to hurt you. But no, the innocence of kids, so we just kept feeding them. Like I never witnessed them like harming us at any particular point.
Hmm. That so
Yeah,
they knew you were children and were careful.
I I think so.
How wonderful.
Yeah.
In school, what was a typical class size? How many pupils in a classroom?
I can say we were a lot. Coming that I came from a very humble background, we could even have a class of around 60.
60.
Yes.
Wow. For one
Yeah.
teacher.
For one teacher.
Oh boy. And then what about textbooks? Did you have to pay for uniforms and textbooks?
Yes, we did. Although at the moment while I was finishing university, our government has started supporting the kids. But during my time, our parents had to do all that. So you had like to rely for the rich kids to get to like do your homework. But now you had like to take care of everything on your own. Although we had bursaries, the funds from the from the government now, but now that one you had like to really follow through, and your parent had to be very persistent for you to get like a little help to be able to read. Because for my case, I had like for high school, for the junior high school, I had to pay to finish the school fees when I was already in high school, like 4 years afterwards. That I think maybe because it was a church school, they were lenient, so they allowed me just to study without paying fees. Then I paid afterwards.
And roughly how much were the school fees? Like, let's say
It
a semester or a year.
Okay, can I say it like in Kenyan shillings?
Yeah.
Okay, so for me for primary school, I was paying around 30, and it was a boarding school. That's why I think it was that expensive. So it was around 30. That was annually, the whole year.
Mm.
Yes.
And so it doesn't sound like for very much, but for a farming family who doesn't have cash, a lot of kids
Yeah.
couldn't afford to go to school. Is that correct?
Yes, that was a lot.
Uh-huh. And so you waited to borrow the textbooks from kids who had more money to read them?
Y- Yes. In
Mm.
fact, I had to like make friends out of them because most due to lack of school fees, most of the time I was missing school. So once I miss school, I would like visit my friends who had already gone to school. I borrow their books and check what they had learned. Then now from there, in case my mom gets money or they allow me back to school, then I use now that knowledge to class so that I avoid being told to repeat a class.
I see. So
Yes.
let's say in elementary school, grades 1 to 6,
Yes.
what percent of the time were you not in school because you couldn't afford it?
It was around 40. It was almost half.
Oh my. Um,
Yeah.
and are your parents farmers?
Oh, my mom is a shopkeeper. She had a tiny shop. But now for my dad, it was not that much. Apparently, unfortunately, I don't know if it was because of stress, he went into alcoholism. So he didn't do much to support the family. So he had to depend on the mom. So and my mom had that small shop. So that is what we had to live on.
Was he at home? So
My dad,
yeah, I mean, he stayed at home and your mother supported him.
yes, throughout. In fact, she was very keen to let us know that even whatever he does, even if he comes like he has urinated on himself, he still remains to be our dad and we should respect him. So he stayed along with us.
Oh my.
Yeah.
How much schooling did your parents have? How far in school did they get?
I think only for my mom, at least for her, she made it to college. But for my dad, he only made it to high school.
And then if your mother made it through college, why didn't she have a job with more money?
She is disabled, and by during those years, no one wanted to employ someone like her. So she had like to go self-employment.
May I ask how she is disabled?
While when she was kid, according to what she told us, she lost one of her leg.
Ah, and
Yeah.
then was she fitted with a prosthetic leg and an artificial leg?
Oh, that was some part of because that one too was too expensive. So there was a time when she was just using like a stick, and then now we had our church like had a fundraising. Then they bought her leg, which she was also had some weight, so it didn't serve her long. So she used to like to change between the leg and the stick.
I see. Boy.
Yes.
And then in Africa in general, people are animists. They're Muslim or they're Christian.
Yeah.
It sounds like your background is Christian.
Yes, I'm a Christian.
And did the church help students go to school or that kind of thing, or the church didn't have money?
Okay, for churches that unless now they do the fundraising, which it didn't like help that a lot. You could get, yes, they were willing, but them too, because it was like a village, all of them still equally didn't have money. You were like all of us, you were poor. So even if they were willing, they had not that much to give.
Got it.
Yes.
It used to be before the missionaries came and colonialism that tribes provided social structures, social support. They provided like adolescent rituals to become an adult and how to become an adult. But then that all got kind of confused after the missionaries. I wonder what your connection was with any kind of tribal roots when you were growing up, like Kikuyu or whatever.
For me, I think I was lucky because where I was born, despite it being like in tribal view, it was in both of them are cosmopolitan. So it was like a mixture of several tribes. So I could not like align to one side. So it was just a mixture of for all of them.
Mm. And
yes.
Today, do people care what your tribal background is and who your friends are, who you marry, or that kind of thing? What's the influence of your tribal background?
Okay, fortunately, that one is changing because people around me, like my aunties, my uncles, most of them have been married outside our tribe. So it's like there's that embracing, they're embracing other tribes. So they are not being very keen on their tribal lines, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah. It seems like the main legacy has been the people in power who are corrupt support their own tribe. So
I can say that one from the leadership view, it is still very clear. Although we are trying like to deny it, you may try to deny it, but you can still feel it. You know, you can still see it from a distance. But people are fighting it. That's why they avoid doing it openly. They do it in discreet. But I think that one will change, because you can see people are now intermarrying. So it will reach a point whereby like the tribal thing will not have that power.
Mm. I remember really enjoying reading Jomo Kenyatta's book about the Kikuyu tribe and growing up with all those kind of social supports. I think it's called Facing Mount
Kenya.
Mount Kenya, yeah.
Yeah.
You were. Mm-hmm. That book probably it's not, as you say, it's changed now. It's not like with the same.
Yeah, so nowadays they like mix. In fact, now the Kikuyu are among one of the tribes that has really intermarried almost with all the tribes in Kenya.
Interesting.
Yes.
So, coming from this poor village, how did you manage to get to university?
Okay, for me it was, apart from the hard work of my mom, I also got like support from the government. So I enjoyed the funds. So that's what pushed me, and also the teachers, because I think okay, I don't know if I was lucky or God was with me. I've been having very supportive teachers until university who I'm still friends with. So they would like still support me even if I had no money. They insisted that I have to go to school. Mom is going to take up care about that later. So they ensured that I didn't miss that much.
Wonderful.
Yes.
And in high school, also classes were 60 people.
No, for high school it reduced, but that's not much because for high school we are around 40.
Mm-hmm. And yes. I know I was in Tanzania, and an issue was you had to pass exams to get into secondary school, and if you didn't pass, you didn't go. Is it
exactly
the same in Kenya?
Yes, still the same. It's like if you don't, they like have a target, and then like if you not get that target, you don't go to the next step. But now the current government that we have is ensuring that we have 100% transition. So they are trying to ensure that even if you fail, there's a way you go to the next level. You don't like leave it from there, because I think from our generation, most of the people, if you are not that sharp, you drop out. Then now there's not much you can do. Then you don't assist in the society or even yourself. So you see, like if you are not illiterate or you are not that intelligent, then like you're considered more like, okay, we're lacking a good word, like useless, which was not good, because maybe you may not be sharp in books, but you are creative, right? So that is now what they're embracing. So if you're not smart in book, now we are having a lot of technical university coming up. So you don't have to be smart in books. You can be smart with your hands or something creative you can be able to do. So you still have that space. So at least for them, yeah, they're having that chance.
What grade do you take the exams to see if you can go on to secondary school? Is it like grade 6?
For us here, we were saying like it was around grade. Okay, our highest is at A. So we have like the A, B, C, right? So at least with the B, you could be able to go. So we had either a B plus, B plain, or B minus. So with that, you could be able to go to the next step, or even a C plus. You are good. But now the issue was, if you have that, you'll not go to a very good high school. So that was the other thing.
And what age would you take that test? Like
that would be
like
to go to high school.
Yeah.
That will be around 12, around 14, 12 to 14 years. Yes.
Well, that's wonderful that they've changed that, because that limits so many people. If you don't have the grades to get in, and if you don't have the money to pay for school fees, it means so many kids don't go to school, and the society suffers. So what gave you the drive? I mean, that was unusual, and I'm thinking maybe it was more unusual for a girl to want to say, I'm going to university. What gave you that persistence?
Okay, for me, I think my main driver has been my mom. So when I could see what she could do, despite having that little knowledge that she had and all the disability, her hard work, so I always made it to myself that I have like to make her proud, like I have to bear fruits for her hard work. So whatever chance that I had, I really had to run with it to make sure that I make her proud. And every time like I achieve something and I give her a call, I give her good news, and then I see that light up in her face, like it keeps me moving, and then I'm like, I have to do this. So sometimes I'm like, okay, mom, you don't know it, but I'm doing it for you, to show you that all that you went through was not for nothing, like you did something.
Wonderful.
Yes.
What about your brother and sister? Are they headed towards university or in university too?
Yes, okay, for my sister, she didn't manage to go to university. Unfortunately, the epileptic like shot through when she was in high school. But for my brother, he is currently in second year in university.
And what is he studying? What is he reading, as the British say?
Oh, for him, he's into computers, so he's doing computer science.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
An issue that I've read about that's difficult for African young women is teachers, professors, or men with money. They're called sugar daddies, and they have a relationship with the girl in exchange for money so she can pay for school fees. Is that a problem?
Okay, I think it is still there. It is like a culture which is growing, right? But now that one, I think now it goes down to like your moral values. Like how do you value yourself? Because you'll still find like we have very poor kids there in school, but they still maintain. They would rather have a job to like sustain their education. But now you'll have now the lazy lot that now they will justify their means, whereby now they get, because this old guy go to school, like they go find them there, so they like tell you, I just need you to go with me for weekend, then I'm giving you this much. And you know, if you're from a poor background and then someone is giving you almost money you have never seen in your life, and then and that time you are still young and naive, so you're like, this much and I'm only doing this little, you don't see the repercussion. But I can see we usually talk to them and like help them see the big picture, because it may be a small act but will have a ripple effect afterwards, right? So you like will start regretting and it will be too late. So we are talking to them, but that culture is there.
Yeah.
We have like very old people out there who are making girls' life miserable.
And
Yeah.
and there's health issues too, because if they're having sex with one girl, they probably had sex with others and could pass on
Exactly.
diseases.
Yeah.
In university, did you feel like the quality of education that you had? How would you rate it? A, B, C, D in terms of overall quality of the education.
Okay. Judging on the like my course that I did, I think mine was A class.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
because whatever, yeah, because what they taught me, like I could be able to relate. I don't think, I think because it was more with the environment, and then where I schooled it was in Narok, where it is one of the home of the best national parks in Kenya. So for me, I could relate. I can say mine I was given A class. I was
Oh,
given one of
wonderful.
the best.
Wonderful. And
Yeah.
in roughly what percent of university students are female now in Kenya?
I can say we're almost going to 50 to 50. We are like 50-50 with the guys. We are increasing in numbers. So the problem could be maybe in sciences, we are few. And then in arts, we are like the big numbers and on the arts. But for according to the ratio, we are almost the same with the guys.
Interesting. Because
Yes.
until this time, recently women have been the majority of college graduates around the world, except in sub-Saharan
For
Africa.
Africa.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's good that it's changing in Kenya.
Yeah.
And it helps if you have role models. So if you know other girls who've gone to university like you, then that is like a snowball effect.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you get like hope. You say like they can do it, I can also do it.
Right. So
Yeah.
what we've heard is that you fell in love with wildlife because you were face to face with baboons and other wonderful creatures. So what led you to take action? I mean, there's a difference between I love wildlife to I'm going to do something to protect them. So what motivated you to take specific action?
Okay, so before climate change happened, okay, the same area that I was in, we used to like to consume a lot of game meat, right? Because now the park was easily accessible to us. So you will get
that
like
means
game meat was so normal.
So
yes?
game meat is like monkeys, right?
Now the baboons, the zebras, mostly it was the herbivores. So you get like poachers will go and hunt and now sell the meat very cheap to the villagers. But now no one like saw it. Even me at first, like you could not see a big deal about it. But now as I grew up, I started questioning that because like why were we consuming that wildlife? And yet we had cows at home, we had butcheries. Now I started becoming curious, and now from there, now I would start like asking questions. So when I saw that they were doing it hiding, then I instantly knew that this was the wrong thing. So that's why they were doing it at night and indiscreet. So and then I made it my mission to say like, okay, I love animals and I love wildlife and I wouldn't like this one to happen. And I can be the great change because I'm from that place. So if I come, I can be able to influence them positively in a larger view. So that's why now I started like talking. So even if I'm with my friends, I would like try to question them. So I just put a question like, okay, why do you think it is good to continue consuming these buffaloes? Because when they were decreasing in numbers, then people are losing their lives because they will go there and meet the rangers and get killed. So I'd like try have those small talks. Then from there now it started growing. And when now climate change came, now that one was like, I have to do this. Because if you check, when we have disasters, the floods, the drought, how many times do you usually remember the wildlife? We don't. We remember humans. So if like they have to be moved, we will only move the wildlife, the humans. For wildlife, they will be left behind, which is not very okay. Because now they are in a fence. So what happens to them? Yet, and if you check, they contribute in tourism, right? They bring tourists to us. We go, they contribute to the revenues. But what are we doing? Are we doing equally to what they're contributing to our economy? Sometimes I tend to think that we are doing little, which is not okay. Because if we have a drought, make it possible for this wildlife to have food. I was so happy about those guys. We have an NGO that is taking care of gravy zebras. So when we had one time drought, they could bring grass to the gravy zebras. So what happened to the giraffes, the buffaloes? Who was taking care of them? Because when you have drought, even water disappears, right? And this wildlife cannot move because once they move out, that is human wildlife conflict. And no one will, like, we rarely try to check from the wildlife perspective, right? Like, okay, I was going out to find water, not to fight with humans, but we don't see that. So we are like, it is in our land, and we start fighting. So that could really hurt me. Like, why do we always leave wildlife outside? They don't have voice, yes, but I think they have a right because every life is important. So all that makes me like want to keep fighting for wildlife.
What year was that drought where it really made you fight for the animals to survive?
That is around 2018. We had a very terrible drought. Yeah, and we lost a lot of wildlife. But it was really covered, unfortunately. So they just die and disappear, And then it is like nothing happened. Yeah.
And is that the year when you really realized climate change is here now? It's not a future issue?
Yeah, exactly. And then now that is when I understood that wildlife does not contribute to climate change. But unfortunately, in this case, they're the ones who are really feeling that heat.
Right.
So it's like you're suffering someone else's mistake,
Yes.
So it was like I really have now. Yes, I love wildlife, and I've been fighting for wildlife conservation. But now I have to fight climate change for wildlife to be safe.
Right. And what organizations did you find or start to work on climate change and helping the wildlife? Because it always helps to work with a group. You have more power.
Yeah. Okay, so for me, I'm also very shy. So I really before I make contact, I take time. So I've been involved in several. So I started with the wildlife. I'm a friend of Nairobi National Park. I am also an active member of Wildlife Clubs of Kenya. And now we have a society. It is known like Environmental Journalism Society of Kenya. So whereby we come together and write stuff to educate the public about climate change and how it affects wildlife and people. So I've been involved in those groups. And also if they have youth groups, those who if they come across my articles, they love it, then they call me. I always work with them. So I go if we have to have a talk, to plant trees, anything that we have to do to create awareness, then I get engaged with that.
There's a famous Nobel Prize winning Kenyan woman who really started a movement to plant trees. Do you remember? I don't remember her name.
Wangari Maathai.
Yeah. Was she influential for you?
Yes, on the part of the environment, I think she's influential for every Kenyan woman because she has saved a lot of areas that were supposed to be grabbed and development to happen. So I think she's our anchor, and we usually we ensure that her legacy lives on forever. So she has been a big part. And then being a woman, how she fought it with all her money, her strength, even risk her family and life. It was a big boost for us. So see, if Wangari was able to do that, we should not let her down. We should keep it, not lose anything that she ensured that was not taken away. Because during her time, women did not have that power, but she was able to penetrate and help those guys to understand that even women can do great things. So she is one of the best things that we look up to, and we ensure that her legacy lives on.
What do you think enabled her to do that? Did she come from a family with means?
Okay, from what I usually read about her history, she was equally not. She came from a humble background, but now her connection to the forest is what brought that passion. Because I think there is that difference. When you grow with something, like if you see those people who have usually have pets, like they get connected. If you hurt that pet, or even it get killed, you'll feel them, like they'll have like something sadness, they will feel it. But if you have never had a pet, you will not understand it, right? Even if you read about it 100 times, you will not have the same connection. So even for her, her being able to connect to the forest, and like seeing how things, because it was one of her, the rivers was drying from her area, and then now she saw all that change. When you see that, it's like you're seeing something going away. Like you grow up with someone and then they just die. You will feel it. You like, oh, start questioning. And when you start questioning, the best thing to do is find answers, right? So you make sure like you question and you find solution and work on them and make like that thing do not happen again.
I'm sure she left behind an organization that
Yes.
teaches and encourages to plant trees. What else did she leave as her legacy besides planting trees?
For me, it was her passion to fight. Even I have like an article that was trying to understand like the motivation behind her fight. Like why would I risk my life? Like people threaten to kill me and they actually attempt to kill me, but I still fight for it. So I think that is what I usually check and say, like, if she was able to do that, I think I can also be able to do that. Like she was not intimidated despite everything that they said, despite the power, the money those guys had. She was not intimidated by all that. She still kept fighting.
What an amazing woman. Um,
Yeah.
so, what's the role of youth in the various conservation environmental groups that you mentioned in Kenya? What are the youth in particular doing?
Okay, for the youth, most of them are like volunteers. Like we have one whereby one of my friends, they usually clean a river. So you'll get like the youth will come and volunteer their Sunday morning, and they come help like clean the river. Or if maybe we're having a cleanup in towns, they'll just come. If you're planting trees, so as long as you give them the seedlings, they have that passion. They're growing that passion, like to do something. So they usually tell you, okay, here you are talking about this and this. What can we do? So they're there for you to give them direction. So they are willing. So I'll say like for the youth, they are open. So it's like they really want to guard their future, because for real their future is like slipping away and they're not ready to allow that. So they're very open and engaging.
Are there particular youth led climate groups in Kenya that you work with?
Yes, I have one in Nakuru. It is a Nakuru youth group. It is mainly made for university students. So for them, they grow seedlings. So you just have to support them. You buy seedlings from them. Then now they have various schools that they mentor. So they visit schools, teach kids about planting trees and everything about environment. And maybe after school, not only have the white collar and the blue collar, right? So they help them see. So we have those university students who are doing technical, and now the ones for the white collar jobs. So they help the students get the both perception, but most importantly they make them know that the environment responsibility is in your hands. It is not like a choice, but it is your own responsibility to ensure that you, despite having that good job in that corner office, your environment has to be protected, and whoever will do that, it's only you who can be able to take care of that.
Mm-hmm. In terms
Yes.
of leadership of youth volunteers and organizing, roughly what percent are female and what percent are male in terms of the people who are active?
For the ones that I'm involved, I think it is around 80%. So we have a lot of ladies in these groups.
Why do you think that is? Where are the men?
I think the love and we have the motherly instinct. So I think by default, ladies are caretakers. So, and they are patient, because for you to be an activist for environment or anything to do with wildlife where we don't have like profits, I think women do great in that. For men, they get exhausted fast.
They're not as strong or not as persistent. That's interesting. Huh.
Yeah.
Why do you think that your generation around the world of young people is able to take leadership at a really young age, younger than I think previous generations were ever empowered to be activists?
I think it will go with the same baptism by fire, whereby those people that we have been expecting them to make decisions for us, they are really failing us. So like we have to take it in our hands to do, like to make them do the right thing. So I think that is what is now leading our youth, because we're expecting leaders to do this and now they're doing the opposite. So like we have to yell at them, like insist, like do the right thing. So I think it is necessary, like it was through baptism by fire that they like place us in that situation. So we have like to make them understand this is what we want. Yes.
What about the role of social media? Do you do a lot of your educating online, or what percent of young people have access to social media?
Okay, unfortunately for Kenya, I can say for social media it is active in the big towns. But in rurals, we still have problems. Like the internet is not yet there, or even the smartphones. So you'll get the youth who are involved in the internet are only those who are in big towns. That will be Mombasa, Nairobi, Nakuru, Eldoret, Kisumu. But now when you go like to maybe Turkana, you'll not find them like have even a phone. So that is now one of the challenges. So for social media, we may have that strength, but now it is for a very small population.
Right.
Yes.
What do you find in terms of government policy? Does the Kenyan government now say yes, there's climate change, or are they like Bolsonaro in Brazil and Trump in the U.S. who say, oh, it's not a problem, it's just a hoax, it's just cycles, it's a natural thing, not human made? Where does your government stand on that?
I think for us, taking into consideration how climate change has affected our country, we have no other option. They recognize climate change is there with us, because for us the consequences are evident. Like we have been having the floods, the drought, like they have been exchanging. So like it is clear, and being an agricultural country, you can feel it. And know most of our farmers they still use the local, like the old ways. And due to the climate change, now the production is dropping. So our government have recognized that, and that's why we find in our Ministry of Environment, we have a department mainly that concentrate on the climate change. So for us, at least they've recognized that fact, and they are doing something. Because I remember last year, they had several meetings whereby now they took the youth, especially the bloggers, those who are active in social media, and now they were able to teach us on how to promote climate change awareness through our platforms. So I can say they're doing a good job when it comes to climate change. They're trying, and problem is being funds where it's everywhere. There's no money, but spreading the information, they're trying. They're doing their best.
Oh, that's exceptional. I'm thinking of Australia, where they were in denial about climate change. There's so many of these strongman leaders that deny it. When you had the education from the ministry about how to get the word out, what kind of strategies or tactics did they suggest? This really works, this doesn't. What works in getting the word out to people?
Okay, so for them, mainly what they were stressing is that when you're writing that article, it should be able to relate to anyone who even hasn't gone to university. So you can avoid now the big words like global change, global warming, climate change. Some of them even don't know the difference between climate and weather. So they were trying you should be able to do it with the simplest term possible, like the layman language. And also, despite even if we are always saying government you're not doing this, it was also nice enough to recognize what are government doing, what are the projects, because we came to learn that we have several projects within the country that whereby the youth are being engaged on climate mitigation and adaptation, like the farming, how they are training the farmers to change their farming types, the use of chemicals. So we are supposed to cover all that and make sure we reach to as many people as possible. So don't make it, because when you see, naturally people consider anything to do with the environment and wildlife to be boring, right? But now we are the ones who are tasked with that job to make it not, it's not bored, it is a matter of life and death. So it have like to help them understand it is not a boring thing, but something that you should be able to do. So if I tell you to plant tree, I should be able to make you understand why am I planting that tree, and by doing that you'll be able to plant that tree and take care of it, right? So you'll not just plant and move on, then it will die. No, you'll have that urge to go back and check, I planted 3 trees, so are they growing? Because for us we don't have like plant trees, we usually say grow trees. So even if you plant there 5,000, it is a responsibility to go back and check, I planted 1,000, how many of them grew? Then if they did not grow, if I have like to replant again, you do that. So you have like, it is actions that can be taken accounted of. You can say, okay, so Winnie, come, you said last year you planted 20, how many are they standing until now? I can be able to answer that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then how do you have to go out to the rural areas and talk face to face? Because if they don't have media or phones, then that's the only way, I would think, that you have to actually go out and talk.
Yeah, exactly. Especially for school, because when for school, in our schools, they're not allowed to have phones. So for that one now, you have like to physically go there. We usually visit. So you can plan with a group from that area. You tell them, you can arrange for a school or two. Then now we shift and move there. We do it together. So we usually have to move out. So you can say tomorrow we are going to Nakuru, we are going to Mombasa. You plan with a group. So and then you go and do it there.
And the government is organizing those educational visits.
Yes, they are organizing now. That one is done now through wildlife clubs of Kenya, and also we have our Kenya Wildlife Service. They usually have such cases, and even under ministry, they usually have those forums. They even usually have like competition whereby they engage the students and the young ones in activities that are pro environmental. And even in the new, we have a new education system now, the environmental study has been incorporated. So for now it is not like for you to have passion, but now you learn it at school.
Oh, that's fabulous. And what do they start it from grade 1, the environmental education, or when does it start?
Now those who started the new system started last year. So for them they're starting from grade 1. So for them from there you are taught how to clean everything concerning environment. You started from grade 1. Yes.
I know a big problem is pollution, especially with plastic water bottles and plastic.
Yeah.
So I know when I was in Tanzania, they burned it, which is really obviously bad for the atmosphere. So is there efforts to ban plastic or to recycle it?
Yes, even in Kenya it was banned. It was banned in 2018 August. We did ban. Even in Kenya, you're not supposed to have any plastic bag. And even for the bottles, the one, the light ones that mostly you cannot recycle. Even for them, there is that plan to also ban them. So for Kenya, when it comes to policies and laws, I think we have good laws. So the only gap is now making the public like adhere to this law. Like you don't have to be policed not to use a plastic bag, like to make it a self-initiative. But lower in terms of laws, I think we have good laws that protect the environment, especially for plastic, for what's the single-use plastic. So for them, even you can't be seen in them in town. You'll be in real problems.
Ah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
When speaking with children and adults too, they stop listening if they just hear scientific facts or
Exactly.
facts. So people use art, they use skits, drama. What kind of activities or means of instruction do you use so it's not like blah 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 blah?
So for me, I think I use it as a story. I like giving them like stories. Yeah. So when you give them like story, you'll glue them until the end of the session. So for me, mostly I find it comfortable to use it as story giving. Then they listen to me.
Give us an example of a story that you've told to the students.
So like for them, I usually tell them like I had a dog. So that dog was one that was being used by the poachers back then. I was a little to do hunting. And unfortunately, it was a big dog, by the way, but no, it was short and it died. So when I'm telling them like that, first I usually tell them, so in this story, I lost two things. I lost my dog and also the buffaloes, because for me, I believe wildlife belongs to the public. So that wildlife that they were killing was ours. So I usually like give them an example. So if I come to your home, and then most of the when you come to those who have pets, for dogs like especially, almost all homesteads have dogs. So I tell them, and then I kill your dog, how are you going to feel it? And then you'll see them like reacting like, I'll be sad, why would you kill my dog? So the same thing happens to that. Or if I go to school, now right now governments give you everything, right? Then now those books that you are being given, I steal and run away with them. So you'll say yes, it is a public thing, but you're entitled to that. So you'll miss education. So the same thing, that's the person who stole my dog, so made my dog to die. The buffaloes are yet to disappear, but let's assume they get extinct. So I will be giving you a story, but you don't know even how buffalo looks. But buffalo it is your heritage. You're supposed to have it years and years to come by, right? But you're not going to get that because one person decided to eat it. So I tell them, now from those, you're the one to decide, do you want to have these animals in the park tomorrow or not? So from then on, they check, okay, I need to have them. Then if you have to have them, the poachers, because if you see for the poachers, most of them are local people. The poachers will not be foreign or someone from far. They usually use those people within your community. So if you see someone doing that, you'll not just say, oh, it is the elephants are from the government. They're not for government. That elephant is yours. So you'll just go, you'll whistle blow and say, there is this man who lives in our village and is the one who goes for those tasks. Then from there, we will be able to curb the poachers. So you help them like own it. Like this is, yes, it is a public utility, but that public utility belongs to me. I'm the owner. So I have like to make sure nothing bad happens to it. So I have to like contribute 100% to its survival and its well-being.
And how is that going in terms of numbers of wildlife? Are they doing better because of increased consciousness that this is a resource, or how is the status of the wildlife?
For now, we can say, okay, that is still reducing because we are still having poaching partially, although we have poachers who are now like they are changing their ways and turning to be conservationists, which is a good thing. But now, apart from poaching, we have another giant known as human wildlife conflict. And now for that, we are yet like to tune humans like to be able to appreciate, because when it comes to human wildlife, most of the wildlife end up dead because they will attack a village, and before they call the authority to come for the wildlife, the quickest thing they usually do is kill that wildlife, and once it is killed, it's just the same if it was poached. So right now the wildlife are facing now the human wildlife conflict, death, and also the encroachment. Our population is increasing, right? And now people are still pushing wildlife away. And once the space becomes smaller, it increases human wildlife conflicts. Again, it leads to their death. So as much as the poaching may have at least reduced, we still have problem with human wildlife conflict due to resources, fighting for resources, because when you're having drought, we still have people who have a huge number of cows, right? And the cows now have to like fight for the same grass the wildlife is fighting for. And wildlife has at that particular time, that human is active there with their cows, but wildlife is there alone. So even if the authority will come later, they may end up coming late when the wildlife is already gone. So we are still fighting. You can't say the numbers are stable. We are still losing them, and now that is the fear. And now when climate now change adds to the problems, now it becomes almost catastrophic now, and we'll be sad losing these animals.
Oh, yes. Do you get paid by the government to do the education when you go out, or is this all volunteer work?
It is volunteer. Unless they're calling for you for a seminar, the other ones, you have to like to support yourself.
And do you have a job with an NGO or something like that, or how do you pay for food?
Okay, for me, I have a day job, the 9 to 5 job, Now I usually now share that salary between my bills and now my conservation job. Now when I'm doing the conservation awareness, all those travels, so that one now I get it from my salary.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of work
Yes.
do you do, may I ask?
I'm in a call center.
Oh, so you talk to people who have technical problems or want to buy
Yes.
things or
Okay, I'm in a industry whereby we provide internet to Nairobi people. So whereby if they have any technical problems, they usually call us.
mm-hmm. So is it
Yes.
mostly college graduates in the call center?
Yes, yes. It is
Mm.
the college graduates or anyone who has gone until university and they're able to operate, they have IT knowledge. That is where now they're able to be employed. So it is especially outside now the wildlife.
Mm-hmm. But
Yes,
yeah, we do need to eat. That's for sure.
exactly. And
Um,
pay bills.
yeah, pay bills. So are you living in
Yeah.
Nairobi now?
Yes, yes.
Mm. And
Yeah.
how are you doing with the pandemic lockdown? Because they just locked down Kenya. Is that right?
It is still partially. So for now, they're saying that if you really have to go to job, and like now, call center is one of the jobs that we are yet to be like to be allowed to work from home. So we are still going to work. So we have reduced like they have like the skeleton staffing. So for us, we are still having to go to the offices.
And what about public transportation? I mean, are they shutting that down, or how do you get to work?
No, for now, no. The public transportation is still there. It's just that they have reduced the number of passengers to ensure that they control any chances of the spread of the virus. So that is now what you're working with at the moment.
Hmm. Um,
Yes.
the the sad but good effect of the pandemic is to cut pollution. I mean, you see maps of China where before it was smog, 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 and now it's
Yeah.
clear. So it's ironic that it took a pandemic to tackle pollution around the world.
I think, okay, for me, although I'm seeing we have very angry people out there who are saying that conservationists are taking it badly. Okay, for me, I'm trying to see the silver lining, just like you. You see, now it has shown us, but like for us, not everyone needs to go to the office, right? And then the pollution, like we can be able to do this because when we are going to those climate change, even when you check all the climate session, they usually like fight like we have to develop. We usually like emphasize that more. Even the transport, like we cannot do without it. But this virus has come to show us otherwise. Like you guys can seriously survive without it. See for food, how many shelves, even when you go to supermarket, it can clearly show you what we really need. So the whatever we don't like need in emergency, it is left on the shelves, meaning we can survive without those things. So I think in a good way, in the better side of it, it is like it has come to teach us a very great lesson that for this one, for the 1.5 degrees Celsius, it is very doable if we take it seriously the same way we have taken Corona serious. So I think there is hope. I hope everyone is going to learn from that. It's not that when the virus has gone, then now we go back to our habits. I hope we continue with that, and I'm sure 1 year or two, our planet will be where we want it to be. Things will have improved.
So it sounds like you're an optimist.
Yes, yes, I am.
Oh boy. I just read the news with, again, Bolsonaro. I just read in Brazil, he said, oh, they've done too much for this virus thing. They've done too much to try to save the Amazon rainforest. With people like that in charge around the world, it's hard to be optimistic. So I'm impressed that you have hope.
Yeah, hope helps a lot. It makes you move one step forward and wait for tomorrow.
That's true, because if you gave up and had no hope, then
Yeah.
it would be hard to take action, right?
Yeah.
This is kind of an end note, but I'm interested in around in the West. There's a
Yeah.
growing reports of anxiety and depression among teens,
Yeah.
especially young girls, and I wondered if that's a problem that you've heard of in your setting or not.
Okay, for that one, I think the depression, I think it is almost everywhere. The problem is, you see, for Africans, we rarely talk about it. So for people like they suffer inwardly. Like personally, I can say when I was going all that, for now I can be able to say it like freely and openly. But if you asked me that during when I was in high school or in primary school, like I would really feel it because I would not understand why would my mom like work so hard and I'm still at home, or why would my dad spend the whole day drinking like he did not know what was going on. So you will feel it, and then even at school you have those kids who would really rub it to your face to make you remember how poor you are. And then now we didn't have like therapists, like someone you can go and pour your heart to. So you had like to bottle up all of it in your heart. So if you are not that person who could write your feelings in a journal or in a book, or even just, so you'll end up like having every night you are crying on your own pillow. Then the following morning you like pretend everything is okay, but it is not okay. So for the all those strong-willed are the ones who survive, but you'll get like we lost a lot of youth in the process, whereby like for them they could not take it anymore. And when you start now going back, like doing a synopsis of what led to that, you find that they were suffering. Something happened bad somewhere, but everyone was so busy they didn't recognize it. So for the mental issue, it is a serious thing and it is happening. It is very real. People are suffering out there. Because even for us, for activists and conservationists, you can get like you are trying to get a point out there, but people seems not to get it. Somehow it you get depressed, or even maybe we have lost a good number of wildlife. Of course, you can check. Like I remember there was this day I was having a really bad day at work, and then now a friend sent me a video whereby we had a hippo that had like gone to the a farm, somewhere farm. And you know that hippo was slashed when it was still alive. And then people were cutting pieces from it. So imagine I was already in a very bad state of mind. And then I saw that video. I could not help. I just started crying from that point until home. Like could not handle it. I was like, why would you do that? Why would you, even if it kills someone, does it, you cutting it alive, like injuring that animal, does it bring that person back? It doesn't bring that person back. So you get like when you have all that feeling and you have no one to talk to, like no, or even if you have them, they seem not to get you. You like it affects you mentally, and now like you have like if you have to disappear to somewhere and just let it out. So for me, at least I try writing about it, or if it is too much, you just cry and then it cleanses the soul, and then you like you have to fight another day. You don't you are okay. You say winners don't are not losers, right? So you say I'm not a loser, I'm a winner, so I have to keep fighting. But for mental, that problem is there. It is real, and it is a lot of people are mentally ill, whether they know it or not.
What about the suicide rate for youth?
That one too is very high.
Mm.
Is just that people don't talk about it very much, but it is there. You get like, because even for us, we had a student who just for getting less marks, imagine at school, just getting less marks and then you go and kill yourself. So you ask yourself, that kid did not have stress from that marks. It is something that has been building up.
Yeah.
But now when the low marks triggered the whole thing up. Because for someone below 15 years old and they just decide and have that courage like to commit suicide, there's a lot that was happening in them. So even for suicide, they are very high, whereby you get even young couples, they kill each other or they kill their spouse and the kid, and then they eventually kill themselves. So it's still there. It's a problem.
I'm assuming that in high school they didn't have school counselors that you could go talk to.
No, it was only, you see, like we usually have the churches groups, like you have the Christian Union, Catholic. So those are the people that we had. So if you are the shy type, or if you are not one of, you are maybe not one of the groups, you would not have anyone to talk to. So there was not like designated somewhere you can say, this is the person when you have problems, you have to go and talk to. That was not that clear.
What about in university? Were there a counseling center when you were there?
No, not here. In my university, there was none.
Mm.
Yes.
I think in all the universities in the U.S. they have counseling centers. So they help with emotional problems, and then there's academic advisors. So there's always someone that students can talk to.
I think for us, what we worked with, you'll point out like if you go well, it's a certain lecturer, maybe they're open, or you have a mentor. Because for me, I had a mentor. Her name was Dr. Gidai. She still like touch base with me. We still talk. So for me, I would mainly approach her. So maybe I related easily with her, so I could easily go and talk things out with her, and I would feel okay after that. So for them, it was not like particular. You have like a therapist. But they usually say it like the usual guidelines, like this you're supposed to do this, but it was not like a culture whereby if I have a problem, I have to go to this person. It was not yet within us. Yes.
Changing the subject, some Europeans are involved in fighting for the Congo rainforest. Have you heard about that kind of activism, and what do you think about that?
For that one, I like, because I'm also in a group, the African Climate Activists, and we have our friends from that place, and usually like we support them through social media on like spreading the news of saving the Congo, which I think is a very good thing, because we really need that rainforest as a planet, not only the people from Congo, because it usually like help all of us.
Yeah, as they say, the rainforests are like the lungs of the planet.
Exactly.
And they suck carbon out, and now they release it as we demolish them. It's amazing. So is the African Climate Group, is that a youth group?
Yes, it is a group of, we are youth, so we usually like mainly in social media. So that's why we support each other projects, we share ideas, like we discuss everything concerning our environment and how climate change.
Roughly how many countries and how many people are members of the group?
I think we are almost 50. Like, so for me, right now, I'm on the bigger one, and we also have the East African one. So within the African climate activists, now we go with regions. So we have that one that we are for people for Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, so the East African one, and we have the African one. So it is a big group. For WhatsApp, we are around, I think, 50. Then now for the Twitter, social media, now for them we have now a bigger number.
So it's about 50 people or countries?
No, those are people. No, the active, the ones that are involved actively.
And how did that group get started?
For me, I was invited by a friend.
And do you know who started the group at the beginning?
Yes, her name is Kaossara.
Oh, she's in Togo?
Yes.
Yeah. And so do you have regular meetings, or you just communicate when something is up, or what?
Okay, so mainly for now, the Friday one, future for Friday. So we have for Friday, there have to be an activity, but for WhatsApp, it's usually active anytime. Like each day we have like something. So if someone gets something they are like talking about, they'll bring it to the group, then everyone is able to like contribute. So for WhatsApp is more active, same to Twitter. So for Twitter we usually follow it, but for Friday that is given. And then now depending on each project for each country, now they can be able to do it, because we have those one for Save Congo Rainforest, we have Save Lake Victoria. So all those projects they have like we are always active, so we support each other. So they just bring up the subject, then we move with it.
Roughly what percent of the 50 people are female, as far as you can tell?
I think we are around 70. I think we are around 70% are ladies.
and it's a youth group, pretty much?
Yes.
Interesting. How do you prevent burnout? Because the problems are so huge and the work is so, you could never stop and still not feel like you've done enough. So how do you keep from burnout?
For me, I do. When I'm completely like exhausted, I do camping. I just take myself to a forest and do a camping for a weekend. Then I'm good to go and I'm back. I'm more energetic.
Do any baboons come and visit you when you camp?
Yes, they do. The animals. But now the good thing is, you see, when you go to the campsite, now they ensure that only the less aggressive animals are available. So they usually visit. So like they give you guidelines on what time not to go out, to be careful. Yeah.
What do you see yourself doing 5 years from now? What will you be doing?
For me, I'm trying to work on a project whereby I can be able, apart from us, I want like every person to be an activist, like all of us to be in it together. So I'm trying to have a project that will help the public like fall in love with environment and wildlife, because I believe when you fall in love with something, now you'll have the passion and energy to fight for it. So for now, I'm trying to work on projects that help them, not necessarily to understand, but to first fall in love. Because when they fall in love, then they'll have an interest to understand what we are talking about.
And again, you encourage them to fall in love by telling stories, or how do you reach the people that you want to reach?
So for them, I first tell them like the nice thing, like I show them. You see, like for wildlife, the way we get the revenue, we get to meet the foreign people. Then you give them like a local tour guiding, you get money, right? So from earning that money, now I first give you the benefits. Then now I show you now the reality. I tell you, but you see this this that you have been earning, this NGO that has been in your area providing you education. If this wildlife disappear, they will have to disappear too, because they'll have nothing else to protect. So that means your education is gone, your healthcare is gone. So this is what you can do to prevent all this happening. So first I make you understand, yes, most of us have been affected by human wildlife conflict, and me being one of those people that was in those areas, I can be able to relate. I can tell you, yes, I'm also not happy when the elephant like eat the farms, or they do this and this. But the reason why they came to that farm is because in the first place that was their land, but we decided to push them away. So I first show you we were the first generation of that problem. So maybe for elephant it may have come to eat food, but it was its home at first. So you have to understand, before I start rebuking wildlife that it has destroyed my farm, it was its own place. So by understanding that, now I understand I've made a mistake, so this is what I'm supposed to do to correct it.
And my first
So
Come and say hi.
Hi.
This is make sure she
Yes.
gets. This is my grandson. She's in Kenya. Do you know where that is?
No.
It's in Africa.
I have a friend from Africa.
Well, tell her about your friend.
His name is Xander and he's from Ethiopia.
Oh, Ethiopia is just our neighbors up there.
Do you want to ask her any questions? She's really she protects the wildlife, like the elephants. And when she went to school, the baboons would come and help her eat her breakfast.
Really?
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yes, it was awesome.
Oh my.
Yeah.
So are there international groups that you kind of keep in touch with, like Fridays for Future, or do you communicate with other continents in terms of climate change?
So for now, the ones that I'm following internationally, it's now that one for Africa climate activists. Those are those that I've been actively involved with. But also the one for Fridays, I ensure that I also pass a message. So I'm also not actively, but I also follow them. I try to do the same on social media.
With Fridays for Future?
Yes.
Any other groups that are international that you think are worth following?
The African climate activists.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What have we left out? Anything that you would like to add in terms of how to be an effective activist, how to take care of yourself, how to organize effectively, how to get the word out that we haven't talked about?
One thing that I usually try to tell my activists, I know funds is a problem, right? But now our main thing, like our main passion is to save our planet. So once we understand, fights, no one will ever say they have enough money, even the richest people in this world. So they'll always say they don't have money. But once like the approach you go with it, like the way you convince them, because you have like to let them buy that idea. Don't like, okay, even if usually like we are forcing them to understand, you have like to also now in simpler terms, because when you go to streets, when you're doing all that, sometimes not all of it is not 100% information that gets the people. Some of us, some of them see us like people who don't have anything to do on Fridays. They don't take it positively, right? Or they maybe say that you're just making noise. So after we do the Friday thing, can we just go back, even if it is one person at a time? I'm in public vehicle, I'm with the passengers. Can I be able to help them understand when they were throwing that plastic bottle outside the window? Can I be able to help them understand we should not do that without, because we have two kind of people. There's that one person who will understand by being shouted at, and then you have the other person who you have like to make them understand in a nicer way, in a cool way, like to help them understand. So I think we should be able, when we're all the approaches that we are doing in activism, we should be able to understand both sides. We should not lose, because it will be very bad and very hurting when we keep shouting and then nothing happens. Because if for those politicians, as much as we want them to do it, we also have like to go in offices, help them understand, like slowly make them see this is the point. Then from there, they can be able now to provide that fund for you. Then you can work with it. Because yes, it is good to reprimand and do all that, but now you have like to help me understand, why are you shouting at me? Why are you angry at me? Do it in a nice way and help me understand. Then from there, we are going to get a support. Because for this fight, it is not only for the activists. We may do much, but we cannot be able to fully become successful until we have everyone on board. So it is a fight for all of us. So we have to be all of us in it. The same way we are fighting the virus, it is like we are all in this together. So we have to be on the same page.
There was an interesting study by two women. I think Chenoweth was one of the authors' name, where they said if just 3% of the population gets behind a social movement, then it has power. So it doesn't take
Yeah.
a huge percent to really make change.
Yeah.
Well,
So yeah, like you have to influence them, because even if we like usually, okay, I read somewhere like you see for wildlife, when you're protecting them, the that moment when you are going to say like we are successful is when we don't need someone to police the wildlife, like they can freely move around and no one is killing them. So we also, for pollution, for all that industry, we don't have like to have a police behind us to tell you don't throw that paper there, don't like emit a lot of this one. Like it comes like your change, our change to affect everyone. Because for now, I think we have almost everyone knows about climate change, right? Even if it is loosely, but everyone have a knowledge of it. So the problem is like positively influencing them, giving them that urge to understand, why are these kids always out on Fridays? Not only to make noise, but what are they trying to tell us? Then from there, the leaders are going to come to pick through. Because if we check, I don't know if it is only in Africa, most people listen to their leaders, right? So, and once the leaders are on the same on together with us, and then they understand that this is what you're supposed to do with the pollution, they're the ones who control those industries. So they'll make sure say that okay, this industry is not going right by environment, so they're going to fight them. So they're going to make sure the laws that are already there are adhered to. Because all these people who like destroy our planet, they go away with it because they consider themselves to be powerful and have money. But now if we have all our leaders on our side, willingly, not being forced, now they can be able to fight fairly against these people who are destroying our environment.
Mm-hmm. So
Yes.
you're doing Fridays for Future strikes in Nairobi, where people go to the streets with signs and educate people on the street.
Yes, for me, I usually, okay, it is not all the Fridays, but some I usually do. But for social media, I ensure like every day I write something about educating about environment.
And so is it happening all around Kenya that students go out on Fridays to strike on the streets and educate people?
No, not everywhere. Still goes to where we have internet. So it is only on the big towns. For those rural schools, even some of them don't know about the Friday movement.
Right.
They are yet to get that information.
Right. And
Yeah.
when you've been on the streets for striking, what's the reaction of passerbys? Are they like, you're crazy, or how wonderful, or do they stop to talk, or do they say insults, or what's the reaction of passerbys?
I think we have both sides. So we have those one who take it positively and they even join you guys, and then they go asking questions like, what are you guys doing this? Then they conquer with you, they say, oh yeah, I've realized the seasons have changed. So you use that opportunity to teach them about climate. And then now we have the other side that sees you like you guys don't have work, you're jobless, so the only thing you can do is coming to to the roads and make noise. So we have both audience.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. This was wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And